I never imagined in my wildest nightmares that my closest relative, my own cousin, would hand over my biggest secret to my worst enemy. One single night shattered everything I had built. Everything I thought was safe. Everything I had poured my heart and soul into. And all I could do was sit there in the dark, replaying every moment, trying to understand how and why the person I trusted most could do this to me.
My name is Emily Carter. In 2023, I was 27, grinding away in a tiny apartment in San Francisco's Mission District. I had graduated from Stanford, dodged the big tech layoffs, and decided to bet everything on my own startup called House Truth. It was an app designed to finally give regular people the real, unfiltered truth about buying or selling a home in the chaotic California real estate market. The secret behind the entire idea was something I called the core. It was an AI algorithm I built completely on my own over 2 brutal years. Late nights, almost no social life, and surviving mostly on hope and cheap coffee. The system analyzed public records, MLS data, satellite imagery, neighborhood trends, and even online chatter. In beta tests around Palo Alto and Burlingame, it predicted true home values with nearly 94% accuracy. Those early results started attracting quiet whispers from investors who believed the technology could become something massive. But the Bay Area startup world doesn't play nice. The biggest threat was Marcus Hale, the CEO of Pinnacle Realty Tech, a company known for flashy offices, endless venture capital money, and a reputation for crushing smaller startups before they could grow. If Marcus ever discovered what the core could actually do, he would either buy my company for almost nothing or bury it before it ever had a chance to succeed. At the same time, I was already running on empty. My credit cards were maxed out, my rent was getting dangerously close to late, and the stress of building a company completely alone was draining every ounce of energy I had left. That was exactly why I needed someone I could truly trust. Someone who could help test the core with real data and maybe handle some outreach while I focused on development. And that was the moment my cousin Mia Reynolds stepped forward. Mia and I had grown up together in a quiet suburb outside Seattle. We shared childhood adventures, family memories, and the kind of bond that made it feel like we would always protect each other. She was the confident, charismatic one who could charm anyone in a room, while I was the quiet coder who felt more comfortable behind a screen than in a conversation. When my mom lost her battle with breast cancer in 2022, Mia was there through everything. She sat beside me during the worst days and helped hold me together when the grief felt unbearable. "We're family, Em," she kept telling me. "Blood forever. I've got your back, always." At the time, I believed those words with everything I had. I trusted her completely. And I had no idea that the blind trust I placed in her was about to become the biggest mistake of my life. Looking back, the months after that Thanksgiving night were some of the happiest I'd had in years. House Truth was finally taking shape, the core running smoother than ever, beta users raving about its predictions, and a few angel investors already asking for pitch decks. For the first time since Mom passed, I felt like I was actually moving forward instead of just surviving. And Mia was right there with me every step of the way. She had moved to the Bay Area about a year earlier for a marketing job in Oakland, and we spent almost every weekend together. Brunch in the Mission, late-night walks along the Embarcadero, or just crashing on my couch with wine and takeout while I showed her the latest dashboard mock-ups. She was always the one who believed in me when I doubted myself, the person who made me feel like my dreams weren't just possible, but inevitable. "You're literally giving people superpowers in the most expensive housing market in the country," she said one evening, scrolling through my test results. "No one else is doing this at your level of accuracy." I laughed, but inside it meant everything. After losing Mom, I'd felt so alone, and Mia had become my anchor. No judgment, no pressure to settle down or get a real job. She was my cheerleader, my sounding board, my sister in every way that mattered. That Thanksgiving, during our small family gathering at her Oakland apartment, I finally shared the core with her, walking her through a live demo on a recently sold Menlo Park listing. When the prediction hit $387 million against an actual sale of $3.89 million, Mia's eyes went wide. "Holy M.
This is insane. You built this? By yourself? I nodded, heart racing. Yeah. If it scales, House Truth becomes the go-to tool for anyone buying or selling in California. But I need someone I trust completely to feed it fresh data, broker chats, neighborhood rumors, real-world insights. She didn't hesitate. I'm in, 100%. Data collection, user feedback loops, pitching investors, whatever you need, we're doing this together. That night, I transferred the encrypted access key to her secure drive. Password protected, two-factor, the works. Only she and I knew the master passphrase. We clinked glasses under the stars, laughing about how one day we'd toast from a yacht. And I went to bed feeling lighter than I had in years. I had no idea it would be the last night I ever felt safe. The next 6 months felt like magic. House Truth grew from a lonely side project into something with real momentum. The core was humming, predictions sharpening with every new data point Mia fed in. She showed up at open houses in Palo Alto and Menlo Park, charmed agents into casual conversations, snapped discreet listing photos, and recorded voice notes about neighborhood gossip she overheard at coffee shops. The real gold is in what people whisper, not what's on Zillow, she'd text me with a wink. Investors started circling seriously, and by spring 2025, 2 term sheets were in my inbox, including one for $750K at a $4 valuation from a small Sandhill Road seed fund. We celebrated with late-night in-and-out runs, screaming like we'd already won the lottery. Everything felt aligned. Maybe an office in Soma, a small team, even imagining asking my boyfriend Ryan to move in once things stabilized. But then the little things started piling up. Mia began showing up in nicer clothes, carrying a designer bag, wearing expensive-looking earrings, and using a sleek MacBook Pro that looked brand new. Bonus from work, she said casually. Yet, the marketing job she had didn't pay that much. She started missing data collection days with excuses like client emergency or stuck in traffic. And one night, her phone lit up with a wire transfer notification for $12,500 from an account labeled HL Consulting. I froze, but said nothing, telling myself I was overreacting. A few weeks later, I overheard a phone call in the hallway where she mentioned the core's accuracy and encryption, then hung up immediately when she saw me. By September, our launch date was set for December 15, 2025, with a soft Bay Area rollout before expanding statewide. I was finalizing the pitch deck for our lead investor when Mia casually suggested partnering with someone bigger for protection, naming Pinnacle Realty Tech and Marcus Hale. I laughed it off. Marcus didn't partner, he conquered, but her words lingered like a splinter. That same week, my access logs showed unusual activity. Late-night downloads from an unfamiliar IP. I asked Mia. She looked surprised. No way. Maybe it's a glitch, she said. I told myself it was nothing, paranoia fueled by caffeine and exhaustion, but deep down a voice whispered something I couldn't ignore. Something was wrong. I just didn't yet know how catastrophically wrong it really was. The morning of December 12th, 2025, 3 days before our planned soft launch, my phone exploded with notifications. First, a Google alert popped up. Pinnacle Realty Tech launches True Value AI, revolutionizing home valuations with unmatched accuracy. And I clicked the link half asleep, thinking it was just another competitor announcement. But the screenshots loaded, and my stomach dropped like I'd been pushed off the Golden Gate. The interface looked eerily familiar. The prediction graphs were identical to mine. The accuracy claim, 94%. The sample outputs, Menlo Park listings, Palo Alto comps, pulled straight from the exact datasets I'd been testing. And even the subtle color palette and font choices I'd obsessively tweaked matched House Truth's beta. Every detail screamed theft. I refreshed the Pinnacle press release. Marcus Hale on a sleek video thumbnail smiling that polished CEO smile. After years of proprietary R&D, True Value AI gives buyers and sellers the transparency they deserve. No more guesswork. And I knew instantly those years of R&D weren't years. This was my months, my nights, my work. ripped from under me.
I ran to my laptop and pulled up the core's access logs. Dozens of downloads from an unfamiliar IP in the weeks leading up. The last one at 2:17 a.m. last night, from an address that geolocated to a downtown San Francisco high-rise, Pinnacle's headquarters, and my hands were shaking as I dialed Mia. Straight to voicemail. Again. On the 5th try, she picked up, voice thick like she'd been crying. I can explain.
Explain what? My voice cracked. Did you do this? Did you give them the core? Silence, then a small, broken sob.
I didn't want to. I swear. But I was drowning, Em. My job laid me off 3 months ago. I didn't tell you because I didn't want you to worry. Credit cards maxed, rent due, student loans calling every day. Then Marcus's team reached out. They said they'd been watching House Truth. They offered $150,000 cash for the algorithm. Just the model, not the full app. They promised I could keep working with you, that it would help accelerate your launch. $150,000. The number hit me like a slap, my chest tightening as reality sank in. You sold my life's work for $150,000? I spat. It wasn't like that. They said they'd partner, that we'd all win. I thought I was protecting us. Protecting you, she cried, her words tumbling over themselves, desperate and broken. I laughed, bitter and hollow. By handing my secret to the man who buries startups for sport? She started crying harder. I messed up. I'm so sorry. I'll fix it. I hung up. The next 72 hours were a blur of nightmare speed. Pinnacle filed a preemptive trademark and IP claim against House Truth the next morning, alleging potential infringement based on similar methodologies. My angel investors pulled out within hours. Emails citing reputational risk and legal uncertainty. The beta was yanked from the test app store, and online forums and Reddit threads lit up. House Truth exposed as Pinnacle copycat? Emily Carter accused of stealing IP? I tried to fight back, sent cease and desist letters through a cheap lawyer I found on Upwork, posted a public statement on LinkedIn explaining the timeline, attaching redacted logs showing Pinnacle's access predated their R&D, but the internet doesn't care about nuance. The narrative was already set. I was the desperate founder who got caught copying the big guy. Ryan tried to hold me together, stayed over every night, cooked meals I couldn't eat, reminded me I was more than this one project. But even he started looking at me differently when the media picked up the story. Local tech blogs, then bigger outlets like TechCrunch running Pinnacle versus Indie founder, who stole from whom. My mom's old apartment, where I'd kept her things untouched, felt colder than ever. I sat on her couch one night staring at the framed photo of us at my Stanford graduation and just broke. Everything I'd built to honor her memory, to prove I could stand on my own after losing her. Gone. Mia disappeared for a week. No texts, no calls. And when she finally resurfaced, it was with a single message. I'm moving back to Seattle. I can't face you. I'm so sorry. I didn't reply. By Christmas, House Truth was dead. My savings gone on legal fees and living costs. Ryan and I were fighting more. Stress does that. And the whispers followed me everywhere. Coffee shops, networking events, even family group chats from Seattle relatives who'd seen the headlines. I'd lost my company, my reputation, my sense of safety, and worst of all, the last piece of family I thought I had left. But the real gut punch, the moment everything truly shattered, came 2 weeks later. 2 weeks after Christmas, January 2026, I got the call I'd been dreading and hoping for at the same time. It was a private number, and when I answered, Marcus Hale's voice came through smooth and confident, like he was inviting me to lunch instead of twisting the knife. Emily, Marcus Hale, I think we should talk, in person, neutral ground. No lawyers, no recordings, just two people who understand how this game works. I wanted to hang up. I wanted to scream. But something in me, the same stubborn part that had kept me coding through grief and exhaustion, said go. I needed to see his face. I needed to hear it from him. And maybe, just maybe, I needed closure.
We met at a quiet cafe in No Valley on a gray Saturday afternoon. Rain streaked the windows. Marcus already sitting in a corner booth. Tailored blazer, no tie, looking every bit the king of the hill, and Mia was sitting next to him. My heart stopped for a second when I saw her. She looked smaller than I remembered, eyes red, hair pulled back messily, like she hadn't slept in days. I slid into the seat across from them. No hello, no small talk. Marcus leaned forward. Let's cut to it. Your cousin came to me, not the other way around. She said you were struggling, that the algorithm was gold, but you were too slow to scale. She offered it for cash and a junior role on our AI team. We took the meeting. We took the deal. Business, Emily, nothing personal. I looked at Mia. She wouldn't meet my eyes. Is that true? I asked quietly. She nodded once, tears spilling over. I thought, if Pinnacle backed it, you'd still win. You'd get funding, exposure. I thought I was saving House Truth. But when they launched True Value, I realized they never planned to partner. They just wanted the code, and I gave it to them. Marcus shrugged. She signed an NDA. She knew the risks. And frankly, your security was laughable. One access key shared with a family member. Rookie mistake. I felt the rage rise, hot and sharp. You didn't just take my code. You took my name, my future, my trust in the one person left who was supposed to protect me. Mia finally looked up. I was scared. Broke. Jealous, maybe. You were building something incredible, and I felt like I was just tagging along. When they offered real money I could use to get out of debt, start over, I told myself it wouldn't hurt you, but it did, and I hate myself for it. I pulled out my phone and slid it across the table. On the screen, screenshots of the access logs, timestamps, IP traces my freelance security guy had pulled together, plus bank transfer records from a private investigator I'd scraped together funds to hire. I have proof, I said calmly. Enough for a civil suit. Enough to make this very public and very ugly for Pinnacle. But I'm not here to destroy you, Marcus. I'm here to end this. Marcus's smile faltered for the first time. What do you want? 25% equity in True Value's AI division. A public acknowledgement that the core technology originated from House Truth. And Mia walks away clean. No clawback on the money she already spent. In return, I drop everything. No lawsuit, no media storm. He stared at me a long moment. Then he laughed. Short. Surprised. You've got balls, Carter. Take it or leave it. He glanced at Mia, then back at me. After a beat, he nodded. Deal. My lawyers will draft it by Monday. I stood up, looked at Mia one last time. I loved you like a sister, but family isn't blood. It's who shows up when it matters. And you didn't. I walked out into the rain without looking back. The settlement came through quietly in February. Pinnacle issued a vague press release about collaborative technology origins and transferred the equity stake. It wasn't millions, but it was enough to pay off debts, start fresh, and give me breathing room. True Value kept running, better than ever. But every time I saw their ads, I knew part of it was mine. Mia moved back to Seattle. We haven't spoken since that cafe. Sometimes I wonder if she regrets it. Most days I don't care. Ryan and I are still together, stronger actually. He proposed last month on a quiet hike in Marin. I said yes. I'm building again. Smaller this time. No big AI secrets. A simple tool for first-time homebuyers. Transparent, honest, no hidden edges. I work alone mostly. I've learned the hard way. Trust is earned in actions, not promises. And family? Real family doesn't sell you out for a paycheck. That one night in Oakland changed everything. It took my company, my cousin, my innocence. But it gave me something back. Clarity. The knowledge that I can lose it all and still stand up. If you're listening to this, and you've got someone you trust with your dreams. Pause. Protect your core, because the people closest to you can cut the deepest. And sometimes, the only way to rebuild is to let the old version of yourself burn down first. Thanks for staying with me through this. If it hit home, drop a comment. Share your own story. We're all trying to make it in this wild world. Take care out there.